Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
All right, this is Sporting Journal Radio. Thanks for tuning in on this station on the Sporting Journal Radio Network. You're listening it on demand at sportingjournalradio.com, maybe. Thank you very much. Or watching this on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brett Amundsen. That's Dan Amundsen and David Eckhart with us right over there. And David, have you eaten much burbot or eelpout?
No, never have.
We were watching some videos on it last night on YouTube, and they were frying it. And I was telling Dan, I think I like it better, like boiled in a 7-Up, like the back straps. You know, you can maybe fry some of the tail up, but the back strap seemed like, and I don't know. Have you had lobster before?
Once. Was not a fan.
You didn't like it?
No.
See, I like it. I don't know if it's always justified paying the price for it. It's kind of spendy. But they call it the poor man's lobster, the eelpout. So I kind of like that whole. And anytime you can dip stuff in melted butter, like it's going to be delicious. But I haven't done it for a while. The last time I did it was in a sleeper house at Lake of the Woods. And Joe Henry joins us right now from Lake of the Woods Tourism to talk about sleeper houses and fishing up there at the big lake. And I want to get a fishing report from you, Joe. But I think the sleeper houses, do they come with like a big pot and like a 2-liter to 7-Up to boil some burbot in?
Well, first things first, our family normally has lobster, usually not very often, a couple times a week. And, but, I'm kind of like you guys, when I have lobster, it's poor man's lobster, and that's called eelpout or burbot or freshwater cod or a lawyer, another name for it. They have a lot of names, but really, what that is, it is a freshwater cod, and that consistency of the flesh is just a little different. You can take the back straps off that rib cage, and then you take the 2 different pieces of tail meat on each side, and I'll tell you, it's a real white meat. You cube it, and then bread, as you were talking about, some people like boiling it in 7-Up. Some people use salt water, and then you dip it in melted butter, and boy, I tell you, it's delish. In fact, I just saw somebody else that what they did is they put, I think they seasoned it a little bit. They put a little bit of oil on it, seasoned it, the chunks, and I think they almost, if I want to mistake it, I think they just fried it in a pan, but almost like scallops. But what they did is they put a little bit of salt on them, but they didn't put the salt on until the very end because they didn't want to draw the moisture out. Very interesting way they did it, and that was yet another way. Heck, I know people that fry them, just like walleyes, and they love them fried. So I don't think there's a wrong way to cook that kind of meat.
Well, I know our buddy Trevor up in Saskatchewan, he loves them. He targets them all the time, and he said he fries them, but he fries them with like almost in water, so it's almost like boiling them, but it's like a oil and water mixture almost, which I'd never heard of before. So I think it's like boiling it with some oil, maybe hot temps. So I don't know, but he loves it. Feeds the whole family that way. They all love to eat it up there, and Joe, that's kind of a nice option, I think, up at Lake of the Woods. If you're staying in one of those sleeper houses, obviously the walleye bite is definitely a little more active during the day, and you can get into some eelpout during the day too, or maybe if you're staying out there, might be able to pick up an eelpout overnight and then boil it up while you're staying out there on the ice.
Well, and that's exactly it. And here's what's funny is that that people say, well, there's no night bite at Lake of the Woods at night. Well, it's not that there's no night bite. It's just that you don't have to be there at night, and I don't think it's as good as the day bite. However, people that stay in a sleeper, if you're there anyway, you got lines down, and you'd be surprised how many walleyes do get caught, in the darkness. But you're right, eelpout are notorious for being, night feeders.
Look at that one. And,
jeez. Yeah, that's a good one there.
Yummy, yum.
I'd like, that big pout intrigues me. But you know what intrigues me about that pout? Man, I'd love to get that thing on the cleaning table and see what's inside that belly.
Yeah, what it was eating.
I mean, sometimes I've talked to many people. We did a video not that long ago, last year I think, where I cleaned an eelpout that was real fat and it had a little walleye in it and it had a bunch of crayfish. Heck, I've spoken to many people that said, heck, I've opened up eelpout where the crayfish are still kind of crawling around and moving, which is pretty interesting, But no, I tell you, those eelpout they're nocturnal. So if you're going to stay in a sleeper, Brett, I'll tell you something. Sleeper fish houses for some people. Oh, there's that video Danny found. Yep, and that's where I pull that out. What's in there? And that's when you got a big gut full of something. What's in there? So I cut that baby open. It was a small walleye and a whole bunch of crayfish. Whole bunch of them in there.
I just find it so strange that crayfish are such a popular forage for, eelpout or walleyes or bass, of course. I feel, and especially if some of them are still alive crawling around, you think it'd be painful eating something like that.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what? They're not like us. I mean, they they get that I guess that mass in their stomach, and it satisfies them, and then their chemicals, the acids and things in their stomach break that stuff down eventually, obviously. But yeah, it's interesting, and it just goes to show though those eelpout they'll eat just about anything. I think they don't eat in the summer. They're very dormant in the summer. You hardly ever see one caught. Yet when that ice comes, boy, I tell you, they get active. We got a lot of them on Lake of the Woods. I mean, and it was so interesting because it used to be that back in the day, people, and it's always illegal to throw any kind of fish out, and waste fish, but people would throw them out on the ice, and you'd see eagles and ravens eating them. Well, now the word's out how good eating they are, and people are coming up now saying, okay, I'm going after my walleyes and my saugers. Man, I hope I catch a couple eelpout while I'm here for an appetizer.
Yeah, look at that one. Jeez.
Yeah, what a good shot that is, isn't it?
Well, they're so much fun to catch, and the obviously the attitude and perception of these fish has changed in recent years, and they're becoming a popular catch and release fish. I still have no problem keeping one to eat. It's just like anything else. Keep a couple to eat, throw a lot back, whatever. Maybe be picky on the size that you're keeping and things like that. But man, eat one up. They're delicious, and obviously they're becoming less of a rough fish and more of a game fish in the eyes of even management and the DNR nowadays. But I remember that one I caught up at the Northwest Angle, Joe. You and I and Jamie Dittman were in a house together fishing, and I thought it was a big walleye for a while, and then sure enough, a big eelpout came through the floor. So they're fun fish to catch.
That one has such good color on it too, didn't it?
Yeah, they're neat looking fish.
Yeah, they're neat looking fish. Well, I remember it's kind of cool because that was such a nice looking photo of that eelpout. Now the angler holding it, had something on this radio. But boy, I tell you, that pout was nice looking.
Where did I just see that? I just saw that in some Lake of the Woods advertisement somewhere too.
That's the one we run every week.
The one we run? Okay, yeah.
Thanks for watching our show.
Yeah.
I'm a part of it. I know what's on.
You're one of the few. You're one of the few that does.
That's right.
No, I was gonna say though, all kidding aside, that picture was such a neat picture from inside a fish house with just the way that the eelpout was kind of curled up. The colors on that eelpout were cool, and I've used that myself and some different promotions and stuff for just advertising ice fishing at Lake of the Woods, but just a neat photo. And the coloration on those fish are cool. When people say, if you've never held one, people say they wrap around your arm. Well, truly, they don't really wrap around your arm. They curl up, they curl you. It's hard to get a picture where that eelpout is straight. If you do, it's like, okay, snap it now. If they ever straighten out, they're always curled, aren't they?
Yeah, they're so strong. I mean, they're like one big muscle. Really, so they just curl up all like that all the time. I think it's funny when you try to release them. A lot of times they're curled up so much that they don't. And sometimes it's hard to get them back down the hole right away.
They come up backwards.
Yeah.
They do. They a lot of times go down backwards. I agree. Yeah. Well, it's cool too is those darn fish. I mean, when you try to grab them out of the hole, they're not easy to grab. It's like you almost have to try to get a finger under their gill. If you grab them around the head, they're quite slippery, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they're tough to hold on to a lot of times, and they're a fun fish to catch, Joe. And how is fishing up at Lake of the Woods right now?
Fishing is good, but I will say this: people are catching a lot of small fish. So, we're catching a lot of small fish. We're getting our eaters. We're getting our eater saugers, and then once in a while you're going to get a slot walleye, which is at 19.5 to 28, the variety you take a picture of and release, or once in a while you get a trophy that's over 28. I just talked to one of our resorters yesterday, Deanna over at Zipple Bay, and they had 2 30-plus inches caught yesterday morning alone. So they were pretty excited about that. People were excited, I should say. But fishing's been good. I will say this, people. This time of year, those fish are getting more spread out. A lot of our fish houses are getting spread out over the mud, following those walleyes out to deeper water. And, a lot of times when those fish are more spread out, you're not going to catch as many because they're not as concentrated. And then you are going to catch a lot of small fish. That's just the way it is. And, like one of the guides put it, he goes, you know what? Hey, we are catching a lot of small fish. You'll certainly get your eaters and get enough for a fish fry. And it's still better ice fishing for walleyes than anywhere else you ever go. Yeah, we do hear a lot of complaining on social media about the small fish, and it's just the way of the world, I guess.
Well, I'm excited to get up there. We're going to be up there next weekend for the Aglow coming up on Sunday, and then spending a couple of days out there on the big lake. So, and then there's going to be, I think Riverbend is hosting. You got the details there, Dan?
I'll find them. Yep. Give me a second. Tap dance for a bit.
For anybody that's not, part of Aglow or wants to learn a little bit more about what Aglow is, and maybe you want to get into the outdoor industry, they've got a package right now where you can come up and stay at Riverbend, where we're going to be up there for the Aglow deal, and you can do some fishing, hang out, and then you can talk to some of us while we're up there and learn a little bit more about outdoor media and content creation and things like that, and also get to fish Lake of the Woods while you're there for a couple of days. And I talked to Brian Smith, and he said that he and Greg Jones are going to be up on stage singing, I think a couple of nights. Yeah, Monday and Tuesday they're going to play. And I said, Brian, did Greg make you learn Guy in a Buffalo yet? And he goes, not yet, but I'm sure he's going to make me, I'll have to get on there and learn it. And
that's a great Brian impression.
Thank you very much. And it was funny. He was talking to me, and he's like, sometimes, we just get up there and we just kind of make our way through it. And Greg will look at me and be like, Brian, I can't believe we made it through that one. So I think it'll be fun. You'll have some live entertainment from those guys up there. Maybe even Guy in a Buffalo.
I prompted him in the Facebook deal, so I tagged him in a Facebook post. So hopefully he's got the memo and he can practice for the next week.
Perfect.
Otherwise, I'll be a little sad.
Well, the question I was going to ask is that it's actually a really good deal they put together for people to come up and be able to talk to you guys. I might be up there a little bit, and then of course listen to Brian Smith and Greg Jones sing and stuff. But do they pay more for that, or do they get a discount for that? That's the part I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. Knowing you guys, if I had to put up with you guys, I'd say you knock that sucker down about 75% off.
Yeah.
So now I know why you have a show to go to next week.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
but I will say, the whole crowd is going to be a very good crowd up there, and fishing's fun. It's enjoyable enough going on Lake of the Woods, and Riverbend does a great job. Of course, then having some media up there that maybe you've never met in person, and I can speak for I know just about everybody that's going to be up there. Very down to earth people, very good people, but also very passionate and a lot of fun.
Well, and we're going to be up there with Live Target and Smith's Consumer Products, and trying out some of those baits that David, you and I tried the other day.
Yep.
Caught some crappies on. We'll be trying them on some walleyes up there. So it's going to be a fun time. I'm excited. Maybe we'll see.
Rattlebait. What's that rattlebait called for Live Target? That lipless crankbait.
The Live Target rattlebait.
The rattlebait.
That is what it's called. Yeah. Yep.
We caught them.
That lure that intrigues me. I've used. I talk about the rip and wrap a lot, the Rapala, but that Live Target one looks very good also. And boy, they got some very interesting colors in that too.
Well, I'm excited. I want to try that Sonic Shad up there. I want to try the Golden Shiner and that Erratic Shiner that David almost didn't give back to me the other night.
Right. I accidentally fell into my pocket.
I think I have one I can give you.
Yeah, we've got a few more.
Well, and that it's interesting that Smith's Consumer Products, of course, what that is a brand of knives and knife sharpeners and things. I saw a new product that came out with those guys recently. I was kind of intrigued about. Did you see that? They got good fillet knives and stuff, right? And it would be fun to use that new stuff with a real nice hand grips on them. But that bone knife, did you see that for deer hunting? It's got a serrated edge on it. It's for cutting through the rib cage and cutting that pelvic bone down. And when you're
the
deer.
bone saw. Yeah,
the bone saw. Yeah. And but that's just a neat looking deal there. But it had that real comfortable grip, and it was a little bit longer than I'm used to. And I noticed it had a blunt end on it too, so which I like because for obvious reasons,
Well, they came out with a number of new products there at SHOT Show this week, and they're debuting a bunch of new products there. That bone saw.
Hang on.
You're asking me to hang on, or?
Well, I pulled up the wrong product. That's my fault.
Okay, should I keep talking?
Yeah, you can keep talking.
That was the right product.
I think that was their. I think that was the.
6-inch folding bone saw. That's right there. And then they got
that is the right one. I was thinking it was the limb saw. I thought it pulled up the limb saw. I did pull up the right one. Well, congratulations, Dan. You did your job right.
You've got a replaceable blade.
Brett, when you're doing his performance review, just remember you did get something right.
I'm just so used to not doing it right that I assumed I was wrong.
Well, they've got that. They've got a new replaceable razor blade knife, 2.5-inch replaceable blade. They've got a new bushcraft 4.5-inch bushcraft hunting knife, a field dressing combo kit, and a survival camp shovel. But so they got some cool new stuff out. And
well,
I'm
that
sure we'll
survival
see some of
camp
that.
shovel, that's maybe leave that one. I don't know about that one. I can make some good jokes on that one. It's like
Honestly,
I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he says, "Yeah, my daughter's getting to the age where she's just starting to date." So he says, her boyfriend came over, and I just smiled at him and says, "You know, I work in heavy equipment, and I got a big backhoe in the back, don't you?"
Well, Joe, now that we know where to hide the bodies, we should probably wrap this show up. People
Well, listen,
want
we're talking about bone saws and backhoes. What else do we need?
if you tuned in at the wrong time, we're getting reported to somebody.
No, you know what? Hey, all that stuff is about. We catch so many in our walleyes and saugers. You got to have a place to dump the guts.
That's right.
Keep it clean.
There you go. Keep it clean. That's right. Well, we'll talk more about Keep It Clean next week here on the show, I'm sure, too. And if people want to find out more about Lake of the Woods right now, what should they do?
You know what? Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts.
Come ice fish the famous waters of Minnesota's Lake of the Woods, the walleye capital of the world. Experience full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper house options. From the northwest angle to the south shore, Rainy River and Baudette, the Midwest's #1 ice fishing destination. Walleye, sauger, perch, and northern pike. Minnesota's Lake of the Woods, best fishing anywhere. For more information, log on to lakeofthewoodsmn.com.